I can't handle this. Michael Carter gazed at the pregnancy test resting on their granite kitchen counter. His hands shook as he loosened his tie. What do you mean you can't? Olivia Bennett's voice trembled. She stood across from him, still in her medical scrubs, having hurried home from her residency shift to share what she believed would be happy news. The company's expanding. We're relocating operations to Singapore next month. He avoided her gaze. I was planning to tell you over dinner. So we'll move together. Michael, this is our baby. There is no we in this decision. Olivia, the board's already approved the merger. I'm marrying Sophia Lee next month. The silence that followed felt like a punch to the gut. Olivia gripped the counter to steady herself. Sophia Lee, your investor's daughter. How long? It's not what you think. It's business. The merger requires business. Olivia's laugh was hollow. I'm carrying your child and you're telling me about business? Michael reached for his briefcase. You'll be taken care of. The penthouse is yours. I'll have my lawyers. Your lawyers? Olivia stepped forward. Look at me, Michael. Look me in the eye and tell me the last 3 years meant nothing. He finally met her gaze, and Olivia saw something there that chilled her more than his words. Emptiness. The man she loved, the one who had proposed under the stars 6 months ago, was gone. I'm sorry, he said, but the words were robotic. He walked to the door, paused without turning. The accounts will be transferred by morning. Don't try to contact me. Michael, Olivia's voice broke. The door clicked shut. Olivia stood in the kitchen. The phantom beep of the pregnancy test's positive results still echoing in her mind. Her phone buzzed. A text from Emily Lee, her fellow resident. How did he take the news? Another buzz? A news notification. Carter Technologies announces merger with Lee Global. CEO Michael Carter to wed Sophia Lee in private Singapore ceremony. The room spun. Olivia rushed to the bathroom, barely making it before she threw up. As she knelt on the cold tile, her hand instinctively went to her stomach. Her pager beeped. The hospital needed her. Emergency surgery. Olivia pushed herself up, splashed water on her face, and stared at her reflection. She was a doctor. Bennett first, abandoned Fiancée second. Her patients needed her. She grabbed her keys, then stopped at the kitchen counter. The pregnancy test still lay there. 2 pink lines stark against the white plastic. Olivia pocketed it. Evidence of the moment her life changed twice over. In the elevator, she typed a response to Emily. He's gone. I'll explain later. Heading 2 or 3 now. The doors opened to the lobby and Olivia stepped out, shoulders back, head high. She had 9 months to figure out how to be a single mother, but right now she had a life to save. Her phone buzzed one last time as she reached her car. A system notification. Your access to the following accounts has been terminated. Olivia deleted it without reading further. She had 12 hours left in her shift, a surgery to perform, and a future to rebuild. Michael Carter had just made the biggest mistake of his life, but she didn't know it yet. Neither did he. The morning sun mocked Olivia as she tried her card at the ATM for the 4th time. Account access denied. She leaned against the cool metal of the machine, exhaustion from her night shift mixing with rising panic. Dr. Bennett? Emily Lee appeared beside her, 2 coffee cups in hand. You look like hell here. Olivia accepted the coffee mechanically. He cleaned out everything. Joint savings. Checking. Even my personal account somehow. Emily's perfectly manicured nails tightened around her cup. That's illegal. He can't touch your personal. He did. And his name was on everything else. Olivia pulled out her phone, showing Emily the string of notifications. The penthouse keys don't work either. I tried going home after my shift. Jesus. Emily pulled Olivia away from the ATM. Where did you sleep? On-call room. Olivia sipped the coffee, grimacing. Morning sickness makes this taste like battery acid. Stay with me, Emily said instantly. I have the spare room since Jessica moved out. Olivia's phone buzzed again. Michael's mother, Margaret. She declined the call. That's the 6th time she's tried reaching me. Probably damage control. Or she didn't know, Emily suggested. Have you seen the news? Olivia shook her head. Emily pulled up a business article on her phone. Carter Technologies announces surprise merger. CEO Michael Carter spotted in Singapore with fiancée Sophia Lee. The photo showed Michael in a crisp suit, Sophia's hand on his arm. They were leaving a restaurant. Michael's smile practiced and polished. The timestamp, Olivia noted dully. This was taken 3 days ago. He'd already decided. A nurse rushed up to them. Dr. Bennett, your patient from last night. The appendectomy. She's crashing. Olivia handed her coffee back to Emily and straightened her white coat. Page, doctor. Reynolds for backup. I'll be there in 30 seconds. Olivia. Emily started. Later, Olivia cut her off. Already moving. Lives to save first. Life to rebuild second. The emergency consumed the next 4 hours. When Olivia finally emerged from the OR, successful save under her belt, she had 7 missed calls from Margaret Carter and 1 text from an unknown number. Legal documents requiring your signature will arrive by courier this afternoon. She was reading it when Emily found her again. You're moving in with me, Emily announced. Already had my brother bring boxes to the apartment. We'll get your things after shift. Olivia looked up, tears threatening. I can't, you can, and will. Emily's tone left no room for argument. I've already mapped out 3 banks within walking distance of the hospital. We'll open you a new account during lunch. I've got power bars in my locker for the morning sickness, and my cousin's a lawyer who specializes in precisely this kind of mess. The tears spilled over. Emily, don't you dare thank me, Emily warned, pulling her into a hug. Just promise me something, anything, when you're back on your feet, and you will be, we make him regret ever hearing the name Olivia Bennett. Olivia's pager went off again. Another emergency. She wiped her eyes, squared her shoulders, and managed a small smile. Deal, she said, already walking backward toward the OR. But first, go save lives, Emily finished. I'll handle the banks. As Olivia scrubbed in for her second emergency of the day, she made a silent promise to her unborn child. Michael Carter might have taken their past, but he wouldn't define their future. She had 9 months to become strong enough for both of them. The scrub nurse caught her eye through the window. Ready, Dr. Bennett? Olivia nodded, hands raised, mind clear. Ready. 3 months into her pregnancy, Olivia sat in Emily's living room staring at a glossy magazine cover. Michael and Sophia's wedding photos dominated the business section, their Singapore ceremony a perfect blend of East-West opulence. Stop torturing yourself, Emily said, snatching the magazine away. Focus on this instead. She slid a letter across the coffee table. Hospital letterhead gleamed under the lamplight. Regarding your research proposal on minimally invasive pediatric surgical techniques. They approved it. Olivia straightened. Full funding. You're now officially leading your own research team. Emily grinned. While somebody was busy getting married in Singapore, somebody else was revolutionizing pediatric surgery. Olivia's phone buzzed. Margaret Carter again. After dozens of ignored calls, she'd taken to sending texts. Please let me help. This isn't what I wanted for you or my grandchild. Olivia blocked the number. Your mother called the hospital again. Emily mentioned carefully. She's still insisting you move back to Boston. Not happening. Olivia rubbed her growing belly. I'm not running home to prove them. Right about me being too young for this life. The TV in the corner suddenly caught their attention. Carter Technologies announces revolutionary expansion into Asian markets. Stock prices soared today, as CEO Michael Carter revealed. Emily reached for the remote, but Olivia stopped her. Leave it. I need to know what he's doing. Michael looked different on screen, harder somehow, his familiar smile now practiced and corporate. Sophia stood beside him, elegant in designer wear, her diamond ring-catching camera flashes. Sources confirm Carter Technologies' aggressive acquisition of smaller tech firms across Asia, the reporter continued. This marks the company's most ambitious. A knock at the door interrupted the broadcast. Emily answered while Olivia muted the TV. Courier, Emily called, more legal documents. Olivia had gotten used to these weekly papers requiring signatures, each more complex than the last. Her new lawyer, Emily's cousin Daniel, reviewed each one. Standard NDA, he'd explained about the first batch. He's buying your silence about the pregnancy. He can't, Olivia had replied. No, he can't, Daniel agreed. But accepting these funds while refusing to sign gives us leverage. Olivia took the new envelope from Emily. Speaking of leverage, she pulled out her laptop, opening a financial tracking program Daniel had set up. Small investments, careful planning, all perfectly legal. How close? Emily asked. 3 more years, Olivia calculated. By then, I'll own enough shares to matter. He'll never see it coming. Olivia's hand rested on her belly as the baby kicked. No, he won't, her pager buzzed. Emergency consultation needed in pediatrics. Duty calls, she said, rising carefully. Olivia, Emily called as she reached the door. The nurses are organizing a baby shower next week. Just hospital staff. Olivia paused, throat tight. Thank you. We're your family now, Emily said simply. All of us. As Olivia drove to the hospital, she passed a billboard featuring Carter Technologies' new Singapore headquarters. Michael's face smiled down at the city. The slogan beneath reading, Building the Future. Yes, Olivia whispered to her unborn child, but not the future he expects. Her phone lit up with a hospital update. Critically ill child incoming. Emergency surgery likely. Olivia shifted gears, mind already moving to the case ahead. Let Michael build his empire of silicon and circuits. She was building something stronger. A future made of determination, skill, and the quiet strength of proving everyone wrong. The baby kicked again as she parked at the hospital. Message received, little one. She smiled. Let's go save some lives? Dr. Bennett, your BP is rising. Dr. Martinez warned, glancing at the monitor. We need to. I know exactly what my BP is doing. Olivia snapped, hands deep in a patient's chest cavity. And I'm not leaving this or until this child's heart is beating properly. She was 39 weeks pregnant, technically on maternity leave, but had come in for a consultation when the emergency case arrived. A 6-year-old with a rare cardiac condition. Olivia, Emily spoke from the other side of the operating table. Let me take over. Almost done, Olivia insisted, her surgical precision unwavering despite the contraction that ripped through her. Just need to there. Watch the monitors. The heart rate stabilized. Normal sinus rhythm returned. Patient stable. The anesthesiologist confirmed. Olivia stepped back, pulling her hands out. Close for me, Emily. I think she grabbed the edge of the table. I think I'm in labor. What followed was a blur of motion. Someone helped her onto a gurney. Her scrubs were replaced with a hospital gown. Through it all, Olivia kept asking about her patient status. Child's fine, Emily assured her, now changed and by her side. Focus on your own kid for once. 14 hours later, Lucas Michael Bennett came into the world screaming with healthy lungs and a full head of dark hair. He looks like him, Olivia whispered, holding her son for the first time. He looks like you, Emily corrected firmly. Strong, stubborn, already proving people wrong by arriving during surgery. A knock at the door made them both tense, but it was just a nurse holding a massive flower arrangement. These came for you, Dr. Bennett. The card read simply, Congratulations and Margaret Carter. How did she? Olivia began. Hospital gossip, Emily sighed. Want me to throw them out? Olivia stared at the flowers, then at her son. No, put them by the window. She's his grandmother, whatever else she might be. Another knock and Dr. Martinez entered. Your patient from earlier? Perfect recovery. The parents are asking about you. Tell them, Doctor. Bennett is recovering from saving their child while giving birth to her own, Emily announced proudly. Olivia barely heard them. She was lost in Lucas's face, memorizing every detail. He had Michael's chin, but her eyes, his hands were so tiny, yet his grip on her finger was strong. Hello, Lucas, she whispered. We're going to be okay. Her phone lit up on the bedside table. A news alert. Carter Technologies opened Singapore headquarters. Olivia looked at the flowers by the window, then back at her son. 2 paths diverged in this hospital room, one leading to bitterness, the other to strength. Dr. Bennett? A resident poked his head in. Sorry to disturb you, but could you consult on... Out, Emily ordered. She literally just gave birth. Olivia laughed, the sound surprising her. It's okay. Tell me about the case. As she listened to the resident's description, Lucas still cradled in her arms. Olivia felt something settle inside her. This was who she was. A doctor, a mother, a survivor. Start the work up, she instructed the resident. I'll review the files tomorrow. Tomorrow, Emily exclaimed. Olivia, you can't. Watch me. Olivia adjusted Lucas in her arms. We'll do rounds from the wheelchair if we have to. Right, little one? Lucas yawned in response. And for the first time since Michael left, Olivia felt completely, absolutely certain. They were going to be more than okay. They were going to be extraordinary. Mommy, look. 2-year-old Lucas held up his completed puzzle, beaming with pride. The 48-piece dinosaur set had taken him less than 10 minutes. That's amazing, sweetheart, Olivia called from her home office, where she was reviewing surgical notes. Why don't you try the 100-piece one next? Emily, lounging on the office couch with medical journals spread around her, raised an eyebrow. You know most 2-year-olds are still figuring out shape sorters, right? Most 2-year-olds aren't, Lucas, Olivia replied, highlighting a section in her notes. Her upcoming presentation on her new surgical technique was garnering international attention. The TV in the background suddenly caught their attention. Carter Technologies' stock plummets amid divorce rumors. Sources confirm CEO Michael Carter and wife Sophia Lee Carter have separated after. Emily muted it quickly, but Olivia had already stiffened. It's fine, she said before Emily could speak. I heard about it last week. Margaret called. You're taking her calls now. She sends Lucas books, educational ones. Olivia shrugged. And she's been helpful. With certain investments, Emily sat up straighter. The shares? 15%. Olivia confirmed quietly. Another year, maybe 2. Lucas appeared in the doorway, clutching the 100-piece puzzle. Help, Mommy. Take a break, Emily urged. The presentation can wait. Olivia checked her watch. She had 3 hours before her next surgery. Okay, buddy, show me what you've got. As they spread the pieces on the living room floor, Olivia's phone buzzed. An email from Johns Hopkins. They wanted her to present her surgical technique at their annual conference. Incoming, Lucas announced, dropping a puzzle piece on her head and giggling. Olivia caught him in a hug, breathing in his baby shampoo scent. What do you say we go to Baltimore, little man? Mommy has to give a big speech. About fixing tiny hearts, Lucas asked. He'd spent enough time at the hospital to have a surprisingly good grasp of her work. That's right. She helped him fit 2 pieces together. And maybe we'll visit the aquarium after. Emily watched from the office doorway. The conference is next month. Isn't that when Michael is receiving his innovation award? Yes. Olivia kept her voice neutral. Baltimore's a big city. Daddy? Lucas asked suddenly, making both women freeze. He pointed to the muted TV where Michael's photo was still displayed. Like my picture? Olivia's heart clenched. Lucas had Michael's official company photo tucked in his favorite book. He'd found it online himself, his technological aptitude already apparent. Yes, buddy, she managed. Like your picture? Lucas nodded thoughtfully, then returned to his puzzle. Need more blue pieces? Emily moved to unmute the TV, but Olivia shook her head. Let Michael's empire crumble or soar. It didn't matter anymore. Here on their living room floor, building puzzles with a son who had his father's genius, but her heart, she was building something far more valuable. Her phone buzzed again. Margaret Carter requesting FaceTime. Olivia stared at it for a long moment, then accepted. It was time Lucas met at least one grandparent, even if she had her own reasons for maintaining that connection. Ready to say hi to Grandma Margaret? She asked Lucas. He looked up, brown eyes bright with intelligence. Can she help with puzzles too? I'm sure she can. Olivia smiled, hitting accept as Emily quietly left the room. I'm sure she can. The Henderson Children's Hospital Annual Gala welcomes Dr. Olivia Bennett, pioneering pediatric surgeon and recipient of this year's Medical Innovation Award. Olivia adjusted her emerald evening gown, Lucas's small hand warm in hers as they walked the red carpet. At 3 years old, he was already turning heads in his miniature tuxedo. Ready, buddy? She whispered. Ready, Dr. Mummy? he replied seriously, making several nearby photographers coo. Emily appeared beside them, resplendent in blue. "They're ready for you backstage." "I'll take Lucas." "No," Olivia said firmly. "He stays with me." The decision to have Lucas present her award had raised eyebrows, but Olivia was done hiding. Let the medical community see exactly what success looked like. A single mother, a surgeon, and a child who was her greatest achievement. The ballroom buzzed with Seattle's elite. Olivia guided Lucas toward the stage, nodding at colleagues. Then she saw him. Michael Carter stood near the bar, older but unmistakable. His presence shouldn't have surprised her. Carter Technologies was a major donor. Their eyes met across the room. "Dr. Bennett?" An organizer appeared. "You're on in 5. Olivia broke the gaze first, kneeling to Lucas's level. "Remember what we practiced?" He nodded solemnly. "Hand you the special doctor prize and say congratulations." "Perfect." She kissed his forehead, aware of Michael's stare burning into them. The introduction began. Olivia took the stage, Lucas matching her step for step. The spotlight caught them both as she began her speech. "3 years ago, I realized something about tiny hearts," she started, her voice clear and strong. "They're remarkably resilient. They heal. They grow stronger. And sometimes they teach us more about courage than we could ever learn in medical school." Her new surgical technique had saved hundreds of children, but as she spoke, she felt Michael's presence like a physical weight. He hadn't moved, hadn't approached, just watched as his son, a son he'd never met, helped present the award that would cement Olivia's place in medical history. And so, she concluded, "To all the tiny hearts I've helped heal, thank you. But the biggest thank you goes to my son, Lucas, who taught me that the strongest hearts aren't always the ones we operate on." Lucas stepped forward right on cue, holding the crystal award with careful hands. "Congratulations, Dr. Mommy," he said into the microphone, drawing appreciative laughter from the crowd. The standing ovation was immediate. Olivia held Lucas close as cameras flashed, very deliberately not looking at the bar. Later at their table, Emily leaned over. "He's gone. Left right after your speech." Olivia nodded, watching Lucas charm the hospital board with his detailed knowledge of heart chambers. "Good." "He looked shocked," Emily added. "Seeing Lucas must have what?" Olivia's voice was ice. Reminded him what he walked away from. He made his choice. Lucas ran back to their table. "Mommy, Dr. Wilson says I can see the big machines tomorrow." Olivia pulled him into her lap, breathing in his familiar scent. "Did you thank him properly?" "Yes, and I asked about the echocardiogram like you taught me." As Lucas launched into a surprisingly accurate description of cardiac imaging, Olivia caught sight of a familiar figure by the exit. Margaret Carter, elegant in silver, watching them with tears in her eyes. Olivia gave her the slightest nod. Margaret returned it before disappearing into the night. "Mommy," Lucas tugged her sleeve. "Can we go see the fish tank again?" "Of course, baby." Olivia stood, taking his hand. Let Michael run back to Singapore to his crumbling marriage and soaring stocks. She had everything of value right here. "Dr. Bennett?" A nurse hurried over. "Emergency case incoming. We need you." Olivia checked her watch, then looked at Emily, who was already reaching for Lucas. "Go," Emily said. "We'll take care of the fish tank." Olivia knelt to kiss Lucas goodnight. "Be good for Aunt Emily. Save the tiny heart, Mommy," he replied. And Olivia's own heart swelled with a love so fierce it almost hurt. This, she thought as she hurried toward the hospital wing. This was real success. And Michael Carter had no idea what he'd lost. The surgical board buzzed with gossip the next morning. Carter Technologies CEO leaves gala early, read the society page headline on someone's phone. Olivia ignored it, focusing on her post-op notes. Last night's emergency surgery had been successful. Another tiny heart healing. "Dr. Bennett?" A nurse approached hesitantly. "There's a call for you from Singapore." "Not interested." Olivia didn't look up. "It's not him," the nurse said quietly. "It's Sophia Lee Carter. She says it's about your shares in the company." Olivia's pen paused. She'd been careful, using shell companies and Margaret's guidance to acquire stock quietly. If Sophia knew, take a message. She also mentioned something about Margaret Carter's condition. Olivia's head snapped up. What condition? Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Emily's voice came from behind. I just got the labs. Margaret's being admitted here today. The pen snapped in Olivia's hand, blue ink staining her fingers. How long? Months? Maybe weeks? Emily handed her a tissue. She's requesting you as her doctor. Olivia laughed hollowly. I'm pediatric surgery. She needs you. Emily cut in. And you know why. Lucas's weekly FaceTime sessions with his grandmother. The educational toys. The investment advice. Margaret had been building bridges while her son burned them. Olivia's phone buzzed. Another news alert. Carter Technologies stock plunges amid leadership crisis. Dr. Bennett. The nurse was still waiting. About Sophia Lee's call. Tell her I'll call back. Olivia stood, straightening her white coat. After I see Margaret. Margaret's private room was on the oncology floor. She looked smaller somehow, her usual elegance diminished by hospital sheets. I wondered who would tell you first. Margaret said by way of greeting. Your daughter-in-law, surprisingly. Olivia checked the monitors automatically. Though I suspect that call wasn't really about my shares. Clever girl. Margaret smiled weakly. Sophia's preparing for divorce. She wants allies, and she thinks Olivia stopped, understanding dawning. She wants to force Michael out. The board split. Your shares could tip the balance. Margaret reached for Olivia's hand. But that's not why I'm here. I know. Olivia squeezed her hand gently. Lucas will want to see you. Michael doesn't know about any of it. Margaret's eyes filled. The cancer. The divorce plans. Lucas's gifts. Do you want him to? What I want, Margaret said carefully, is to see my grandson while I still can. The rest? She waved a frail hand. The rest is business. Olivia's pager buzzed. Another emergency. Go, Margaret said. But, Olivia, when Sophia calls again, listen carefully. Sometimes revenge and justice look remarkably similar. Olivia paused at the door. I'll bring Lucas after my surgery. Thank you. Margaret's voice stopped her again. He has Michael's mind, no, but your heart. Thank God for that. Olivia hurried to the OR, her mind racing. Sophia Lee wanted an ally. Margaret was dying, and somewhere in Singapore, Michael Carter was about to learn exactly how much he'd lost in more ways than one. Her phone buzzed one last time before she scrubbed in. Sophia Lee Carter files for divorce. Claims controlling interest in Carter Technologies. Olivia smiled slightly as she tied her surgical mask. The game was changing, and for once, she held all the cards. Allegations of fraudulent practices rocked Carter Technologies. The financial news droned in the hospital lounge. Olivia watched as Michael's face flashed across the screen, looking haggard and stressed. Mommy? Lucas looked up from his advanced mathematics workbook. Why is Daddy on TV again? 3 months had passed since the gala. Margaret's condition had worsened, and she'd been moved to permanent care in the hospital's private wing. Business news, sweetheart. Olivia stroked his dark hair. How's your math coming along? Done. He proudly showed her the completed calculus problems. Work meant for students 4 times his age. Can we visit Grandma now? Before Olivia could answer, Emily burst into the lounge. You need to see this. She thrust her tablet forward, displaying an email from Sophia Lee's lawyers. Our client seeks immediate discussion regarding your 18% holding in Carter Technologies. 18%? Olivia's eyebrows shot up. I only have 15. Margaret transferred her shares to Lucas yesterday. Emily lowered her voice. It's all legal. She had her lawyers do it before starting the new treatment. Olivia's phone rang. Sophia Lee again. She'd been calling daily. Take it, Emily urged. It's time. Olivia hesitated, looking at Lucas. He'd returned to his workbook, humming softly as he solved equations that would baffle most adults. Stay with him, she told Emily, then answered the phone as she stepped out. Dr. Bennett speaking. You've been avoiding me, doctor. Sophia's accent was crisp, her tone businesslike. We have matters to discuss, such as your son's newly acquired shares. Combined with your own holdings, you now control the largest single block of Carter Technologies stock. Olivia watched Lucas through the lounge window. I'm aware. Michael doesn't know about the boy. Sophia's voice hardened. That could change. Careful, Olivia warned softly. Threats won't work with me. Not a threat. An opportunity, Sophia paused. Help me take control of the board, and Michael Carter loses everything. Isn't that what you want? What I want, Olivia said carefully, is to ensure my son's future. Then we understand each other. The board meets next week in Singapore. Your presence would be influential. Olivia's pager buzzed. Margaret's monitors were showing complications. I'll consider it, she said quickly. I have to go. She rushed to Margaret's room, finding Lucas already there, holding his grandmother's hand as she slept. Her numbers dropped, Emily reported quietly. But she stabilized. Olivia checked the charts herself. Doctors' instincts warring with personal feelings. They want me in Singapore, she said finally. Sophia Lee is making her move. Go, Emily said. I'll watch them both. Margaret stirred, her eyes finding Olivia. Singapore, she asked weakly. Yes, Sophia called. Good, Margaret smiled faintly. It's time he learned. Learned what, Grandma? Lucas asked innocently. Margaret squeezed his small hand. That the biggest mistakes in life come with the biggest prices. Olivia's phone buzzed again. Her travel agent confirming first-class tickets to Singapore. As she watched Lucas explain his calculus to his grandmother, she felt a cold certainty settle over her. Michael Carter was about to discover that he hadn't just abandoned a fiancée 3 years ago. He'd abandoned his entire future. The board of Carter Technologies will now hear from Dr. Olivia Bennett, representing 18% controlling interest. The Singapore boardroom fell silent as Olivia stood. Michael, at the far end of the table, had gone pale at her entrance. Sophia Lee sat between them, perfectly poised. Before I begin, Olivia said calmly, I have something to share. She opened her laptop, connecting it to the room's display. A video began playing. Lucas at his study desk solving complex engineering problems while chatting with Margaret. This is Lucas Bennett, Olivia continued over the footage. Age 3, IQ tested at 164. My son, she paused, letting her words sink in. Our son, Michael. The boardroom erupted. Michael gripped the table, knuckles white. Her phone buzzed. Emily's text made her blood run cold. Margaret's crashing. Get back now. I'll keep this brief. Olivia addressed the chaos. I'm voting my shares and my son's shares in favor of Sophia Lee's restructuring proposal. Michael Carter is hereby removed as CEO. She closed her laptop as protests filled the room. Michael hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. Dr. Bennett. Sophia called as Olivia headed for the door. We should discuss. My lawyer will handle everything. Olivia didn't slow down. I have a patient waiting. She was on the first flight back to Seattle, but it wasn't fast enough. Margaret passed an hour before she landed, Lucas holding her hand until the end. She left this for you, Emily said when Olivia rushed in, handing her an envelope. Inside was a letter and a USB drive. Olivia read while Lucas slept, exhausted from grief. Dearest Olivia, by now the board meeting is over. I hope you showed them our boy's brilliant mind. It's my last gift to you. Proof that Michael threw away not just love, but legacy. The drive contains everything. Michael's original merger documents, the backdated marriage license with Sophia, the irregular stock transfers. I've kept copies of everything since the day he left you. Use it wisely. Not for revenge, but for Lucas. He'll need protection from the storm coming to Carter Technologies. Love him enough for all of us. Margaret. Olivia plugged in the drive. Understanding dawning as she read. Michael hadn't just abandoned them. He'd committed corporate fraud to do it. The merger, the marriage, everything had been orchestrated months before she told him about the pregnancy. Her phone rang. Michael, don't. Emily warned. But Olivia answered. Silence filled the line. Why? Michael finally asked. You lost the right to questions 3 years ago. Olivia watched Lucas sleep. The company's Sophia's now. The truth is yours to deal with. Olivia, please. Goodbye, Michael. She hung up, blocking his number one final time. Emily touched her shoulder. What now? Olivia looked at the medical journal on her desk. Her latest surgical innovation, on the cover. Then at Lucas, brilliant and beautiful and completely untouched by his father's shadow. Now, Olivia smiled sadly. Now we honor Margaret's last wish. We keep building something better than he ever could. Her pager buzzed. Emergency surgery needed. The world kept turning. Tiny hearts still needed saving. And somewhere in Singapore, Michael Carter was finally learning the true cost of his choices. Your request for visitation rights has been denied. Olivia read the court documents in her office. Lucas's 4th birthday party invitation, sitting unopened beside them. 3 weeks had passed since Margaret's funeral. Michael had flown in for it, but stayed at the back of the church, leaving before Olivia and Lucas arrived at the reception. Her office phone lit up. Carter Technologies' bankruptcy proceedings begin. Dr. Bennett. Her assistant poked her head in. Mr. Carter is in the lobby. He's refusing to leave without seeing you. Olivia closed her eyes briefly. Call security. He has papers. Says they're from Margaret. That made her pause. Give me 5 minutes. She found Michael by the hospital's fish tank, Lucas's favorite spot. He looked destroyed. Designer suit wrinkled, eyes hollow. Security's on their way, she said by way of greeting. I'll be brief. He held out a thick envelope. Mother left this for Lucas. Her lawyers just released it. Olivia took it carefully, maintaining distance. That's all. Sophia's won. The company's finished. I'm finished. He laughed hollowly. Seems fair somehow. Nothing about this is fair, Michael. Olivia's voice was steel. You made sure of that 3 years ago. I want to meet him. No. Olivia, he's not a company you can acquire. She cut him off. He's a child, my child, the one you walked away from. Our child, he corrected quietly. Olivia's laugh was bitter. You lost the right to that word the night you chose a merger over your family. The merger was wrong. Everything was wrong. He stepped closer. Let me try to... Security's here. Olivia nodded to the approaching guards. Goodbye, Michael. Wait. He pulled out one more envelope. My letter to him. For when he's older, please. Olivia took it, if only to make him leave faster. You should know he's already surpassed your company's best engineers. At age 4, pain flashed across Michael's face. Like father, like... No, Olivia interrupted. Like mother, like son. I'm the one who stayed. She watched security escort him out, then headed to her next surgery. The envelopes burned in her pocket, but they could wait. She had lives to save. Later that night, after Lucas was asleep, Olivia read both letters. Margaret's was full of love, wisdom, and a trust fund that would ensure Lucas's education. Michael's was full of excuses. She sealed them both in a new envelope, dating it for Lucas's 18th birthday. Then she wrote her own letter, shorter but more honest. My dearest son, your father chose an empire of glass and silicon. I chose you. It was the easiest choice I've ever made. Love, Mum. Her phone buzzed with breaking news. Carter Technologies assets seized. Former CEO Michael Carter faces investigation. Olivia turned off her phone and went to check on Lucas. He slept peacefully, surrounded by books about cardiac surgery and advanced physics. Margaret's last gift scattered among them. Some choices, Olivia thought, watching her son breathe, echo forever. But sometimes they echo in ways we never expect. She closed his door softly, leaving the past sealed in letters for another day. And the Pioneer in Pediatric Surgery Award goes to Dr. Olivia Bennett. The medical conference hall erupted in applause. Lucas, now 6, sat in the front row between Emily and his favorite nurse, beaming as his mother took the stage. 3 years ago, I stood at a different podium, Olivia began, talking about tiny hearts. Today, I want to talk about bigger ones, the ones that keep beating despite every obstacle. Her new surgical technique had become the global standard, saving thousands of children. But as she spoke, her eyes kept finding Lucas, who was practically vibrating with excitement to share his own news. In the back of the hall, unnoticed, Michael Carter slipped in. He looked different now, no designer suit, no corporate polish. The investigation had stripped him of everything. And so, Olivia concluded, to every parent who's trusted me with their child's heart, thank you. You've taught me that the strongest muscle isn't always the one we can see. Lucas bounded up to the stage, right on cue, presenting her with the award. But this time, he had his own announcement. My mommy fixes hearts, he declared into the microphone, and I'm going to help. I got accepted to the gifted medical program. The audience gasped. The program was for high school students. Lucas was 6. Olivia hugged him close, feeling tears prick her eyes. That's right, baby. We'll fix them together. Later at the reception, Emily nudged her. He's gone. Again. Olivia nodded, watching Lucas explain cardiac anatomy to amazed medical students. Good. He left this. Emily handed her a newspaper clipping. Former tech CEO volunteers at children's hospitals in Singapore. Olivia tucked it away without comment. Let Michael find his redemption elsewhere. Their path, was already set. Mommy, Lucas called. The dean wants to know if I can start the program next month. Olivia moved toward her son, leaving the clipping and its implications behind. They had tiny hearts to heal, and that was all that mattered. As they left the conference hall, Lucas chattering about valve replacements and cardiac rhythms, Olivia caught their reflection in a window. Mother and son, white coats matching, both ready to change the world in their own way. Some empires, she thought, are built of glass and steel, but the strongest ones are built on love, one beating heart at a time. The Children's Cardiac Wing of Henderson Hospital bore a new name, the Margaret Carter Center for Pediatric Innovation. 9-year-old Lucas adjusted his small lab coat, standing beside his mother as they unveiled the plaque. Dr. Lucas Bennett Carter. Olivia read the smaller nameplate beneath his research station. Youngest certified medical researcher in U.S. history. Lucas grinned, his father's dimples flashing, but his mother's determination shining in his eyes. Can we start the trials today? His pediatric heart valve design, sketched out at age 7, refined at 8, and now ready for testing at 9, had already attracted international attention. The ceremony was small, just hospital staff and a few reporters. If anyone noticed Michael Carter standing at the back of the crowd, they didn't mention it. He'd aged a decade in 3 years. His redemption tour through Asia's children's hospitals, written in the lines of his face. And now Olivia addressed the gathering. My colleague Dr. Lucas Bennett would like to explain his breakthrough. Lucas stepped forward confidently, launching into a detailed explanation that left seasoned cardiac surgeons blinking in amazement. Olivia watched him, heart full. Her phone buzzed. Another award nomination. Another speaking invitation. She'd long since lost count. But those weren't her greatest achievements. Her greatest achievement was standing at the podium, revolutionizing cardiac care before he hit double digits, carrying his grandmother's compassion and his mother's determination in every word. As the crowd dispersed, Olivia caught Michael lingering by the plaque. Their eyes met briefly across the room. No words needed to be exchanged. He nodded once, touched Margaret's name on the plaque, and left. Ready for your first official case review? Olivia asked Lucas, who was already pulling up patient files on his tablet. Ready, Dr. Mom. He replied seriously, then broke into a grin. Race you to the conference room. Olivia watched him run ahead, white coat flapping. 9 years ago, she'd stood in her kitchen, holding a positive pregnancy test and feeling her world collapse. Now she stood in her hospital, watching that same world expand beyond her wildest dreams. You coming? Lucas called back. Always, she answered and followed her son toward their next miracle. Some choices echo forever, but sometimes those echoes turn into music,